So the first thing I did was put some fluid matte medium on it. This is by Golden. And I'm going to spread this around. I'm doing this because I want it to have a slick surface. Okay, so I'm going to take my gold first, and I've shaken these. And this is just a shish kebab skewer, and I'm just going to put it in there and pull out some of the paint, and I'm just going to swirl it around on my stone. The reason that I'm using this instead of alcohol inks is because alcohol inks would just be flat, but this adds some dimension and some texture. In some areas it's thicker than others, and I want this project to be all about texture. This stone has a lot more holes and pits in it than this one does, but if you can tell, you can see that you can tell which parts were thick and which parts were not in the background colors, and I wanted that texture. Okay, so then I'm using the emerald next. Yep. And I'm just going to, I've wiped off my skewer, and then I'm just going to stick it in, stir around a little bit, and just get some on my skewer and sling it around. Oops. Kind of dragged some of that out this time. And I'm going to wipe this up as quickly as you can, because this just dries and stays on there. I got some down here on my craft sheet last week, and I can't get it off. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this around. That's kind of why I have this pile of towels down here, so that I have a place to wipe my skewer on, and so that I keep my craft sheet clean from this as much as possible. So here's our third color. That's a little more than I want on there. I'm just kind of mixing it up, sliding it around. Some of it's mixing together and making a little bit of a brown, but that's okay. That's just some shadow. This was the apricot in the moon, and now I've got the Vitri lemon, and this is very, very liquidy. It's not like these others that are creamy. This one is very much a liquid. So I'm just going to drop it. Just dropping it in everywhere. Now I can pick this up and turn it a little bit, but it doesn't really move. It stays pretty much where I put it, unless I start stirring it again. Now I would tell you to let this dry overnight, but I used my heat gun and I dried it, but it took me a good 30 minutes or more to get it dry. And then what I did was I took my DecoArt texture glass and spread over it, and I dried it also with my heat gun. And I did that because I wanted this to be in layers, and the texture glass put a separation between my background and then my stamp. So what I used for my stamp was the Dina Wakley media stamps, All the Girls by this is by Ranger, and I used this girl, and then I used Brave, Loyal, and Bold. I stamped the words with archival ink in jet black, and I embossed with, let's see, I used the Ranger Dabber embossing ink, and I embossed this with a fine detail black embossing powder. I don't think I'm going to do that on this because it was a lot of work. I had to really work to get the embossing powder hot enough to melt, and so it was really more work than I needed to do, and where the archival ink just stamps on just fine, and you don't need that extra step. But after that, what I did do was then I used Iced Enamels Relic Powder in Carnelian, and I pinched some out and sprinkled some around. This is the dark orange that you see. Just kind of sprinkled it around, and then it's so lightweight that you have to start embossing it by heating it from underneath first. And because this is such a thick stone, it took a while, but this stone conducts heat pretty well, so it wasn't forever. And then once I got it hot enough to stick to the stone, then I turned my heat gun to the top and finished heating it to where it stuck to the stone. Then after that, I pinched a little bit of Black Soot Distress embossing powder and the Ranger Antiquities in Frosted Crystal. And I just kind of sprinkled the black just barely all around, but the crystal I put it all over, and you can see when you turn this all the different places where it shines and then where it doesn't. I just took this dabber and just kind of dabbed here and there and everywhere. And then I took the Tim Holtz Heart Charm, and I used the one sticker that says Beyond Measure, and I stuck it to there too with glossy accents. And then at the very end, I used Glaze On by Sukaneko to kind of seal all of the powders and stuff underneath. So that now I believe that I could use this as a coaster. I might want to go ahead and put a coat of varnish on it if I'm going to, but I think it just makes a nice little gift. You can set it on a frame. Let me grab a small frame from behind me. So this is a small frame, and you can set it like that, and you can use it as a gift for someone. So I will go ahead and dry this now. I'm going to go ahead and use my heat gun to dry it, and then come back and we can do the rest.